Hello everyone, welcome to another Gran Turismo 7 science video. It's a wee while since we've done one of these, but I wanted to do a video testing just how strong this custom slipstream that has pretty much become standard in daily races and GTWS races in Gran Turismo 7's sport mode. Now, I promise you this is not going to be a video of me just ragging on custom slipstream. Most people know my feelings, I don't like it, I don't agree with it, I don't think it's necessary, but I actually just wanted to do some tests and see if we can just put some numbers out there as into, you know, just how strong is this custom slipstream in comparison to possibly real slipstream, and, you know, how much of a boost is the car getting when it's in that custom slipstream compared to when it is not. And I think some of the numbers that I'm going to tell you here are going to surprise you greatly. But yeah, with this week's Daily Race C being at Circuit de la Sarthe with no chicane in the Group 3 cars and custom slipstream, it seemed like the perfect opportunity to run these tests, because we can get some good comparisons and then we can run pretty much the same conditions in the same car and just test some various things. So what we're going to look at first here is no slipstream versus custom slipstream. We're on board with a Toyota Supra here at this week's Daily Race C, and we're coming down the Milzan Straight, and basically I want to look at what is the speed of the car doing here when we come to this checkpoint or sector point just here, 109.7, and the car is doing 179 miles an hour with no slipstream, no bump drafting. That is what the Toyota Supra does down the Milzan Straight from Tetra Rouge corner to that sector point when it has no slipstream or bump drafting assistance. Now let's take a look at that same Toyota Supra fully in the custom slipstream of a Peugeot VGT in front of us. Now I was looking to find an example where there was no bump drafting, but there is this one minor bump draft here between the Toyota and the Peugeot, so I don't think it really affects the results whatsoever. We're coming up to that sector point now, and we are doing 188, 189 miles an hour. So there's a difference there of 9-10 miles an hour between being in the slip and not being in the slip when custom slipstream is on the same part of the track. So let's get on with the testing. We kind of made sure that we knew the numbers for the Supra when it is balanced off performance. We jumped into time trial, we jumped into the 10 o'clock sunset setting, which is the same setting that we are using for Daily Race C. So the conditions are identical, with the exception of the wind, which is a little bit stronger in the test that I'm going to do here, but it is blowing in the same direction, giving a crosswind down the straight that we're going to test. So we jump into the settings menu, we take our output adjustment down to 86%, that takes our power down to 508 just as BOP is, and then we need to add a little bit of ballast, 17 kilograms in this example here, to get the car to 1260, which is the same as the high speed balance of performance for the Toyota Supra. So let's jump out onto the track. Actually, before we do that, let's just make sure we turn on the tyre wear and turn on the fuel, so we're getting everything as exactly the same as we possibly can compared to the race simulation that we just took a look at there. And let's kind of do our dry run here down towards the checkpoint as a bit of a control test and see what our Toyota Supra is going to do compared to the first example that we looked at during the race when it wasn't in slipstream. So when the Toyota Supra wasn't in slip in that race, it was doing 179 miles an hour down at the checkpoint, round about where the first chicane is, if the chicanes are indeed included. Of course, the wind is a little bit different here, and there is a little bit of a headwind here rather than a crosswind, so our result comes in a little bit short at 178 miles an hour. But that doesn't really matter, because this is going to be our comparison to what we're going to do for the rest of this test. So what I wanted to kind of find out is, like, how much more horsepower do I need to give this car to get 10 additional miles per hour, 9-10 additional miles per hour down the Milzan Straight to the same sector point, which would be giving me the same speed as what I'd be getting if I was in custom slipstream. So the first time we just added 24 brake horsepower, going from 508 up to 532. So we should be a little bit faster down the straight. We're coming up to that sector point now, and we're going to do 180 miles per hour. So we've gained 2 miles per hour by having 24 additional brake horsepower. So we're going to have to add a good bit more. Let's bump it up to 550, and see how we get on with that. Now, there is going to be a few sections of this video which are going to be fast forward, and I kind of want to show you that the results are genuine. I'm just going straight from the settings out onto the track, driving a little bit of track I've got to drive here, and then coming down the Mulsanne straight. So we're up to 550 brake horsepower. That's 42 more than balance of performance, and we're looking to try and get this car to 188 miles an hour. Sounds like something from Back to the Future, doesn't it? But we only hit 182 there, 182 just before we get to the sector point with 550. We're still 6 miles an hour down. Let's bump it up to 93 on the output adjustment. That's going to give us, in fact, I'm going to go up to 97, so we are. It's going to give us 573 brake horsepower. Let's run that test again. Remember, we are looking to get to 188 miles an hour. Custom Slipstream has given us a 10 mile an hour boost down that straight. How much brake horsepower do we need to add to our car to get the same boost from the engine as we would from the Custom Slipstream? It'll just give us an idea of almost how much of a boost that Custom Slip is in terms of brake horsepower. We're going to fall short on this test here. We got up to 183, so we are still 5 mph short. Let's put the output adjustment all the way back up to 100. That's going to give us 591 brake horsepower for this test, and that's going to be, by my calculations, hopefully it's going to come up here soon because I'm trying to do it in my head, yeah, 83 more brake horsepower than the balance of performance. So coming down the Mulsanne straight here, we are up to 185 there as we hit the sector point, so we are slowly but surely getting there, but that is as much power as I can add to the car without going into the tuning shop. So we're going to have to put on something to the car to give us a wee bit more power and then adjust it back down to something more reasonable. So adding a medium RPM turbocharger takes us up to 788 brake horsepower. That's a little bit overkill, so let's kind of reduce the power output or the output adjustment and take us down to 607 bhp. So we're 99 more than balance of performance, up at 607. Surely this will be enough to get us up to that 188 miles an hour target and simulate the speed of the car being in Custom Slipstream, but we fall short by 1 little miles per hour. So we're going to go back into the settings, we're going to add a little bit more power. We're going to take the car up to 623 brake horsepower. That's 115 more than balance of performance. Surely this will be enough to get us up to 188 miles an hour. Give us that additional 10 miles per hour boost down the straight that Custom Slipstream is giving us. So we're up into the 80s now. It's looking promising. The car's accelerating pretty nicely at this point. 186, 187. That sector point's coming up in a few seconds. 188. There we are. So 115 brake horsepower we needed to add to the car to simulate the power of the Custom Slipstream. I was not expecting that number at all. I did not think it'd be anywhere near 3 figures they would need to add to the car in order to kind of give us the same boost or the same additional speed down the straight as that Custom Slipstream does. But let's just do a control test again. We'll go back to the balance of performance. 508 brake horsepower, 1,260 kilograms, and come down to the sector point, we're doing 179 miles per hour, just confirming that difference between BOP at 508 and adding 115 brake horsepower. But I had one more test to run, and we're going to do something a little bit unusual in this one because we have added nitrous to our 508 brake horsepower BOP'd Toyota Supra. Now, if you remember, I sometimes refer to Custom Slipstream as being like nitrous, so I decided I would put some nitrous on the Supra, more out of curiosity than anything else, and see how much speed nitrous will get us on top of our 508 brake horsepower down the Mulsanne straight. And well, I think we might well be justified in calling Custom Slipstream as being a little bit nitrous. So coming out of Tetra Rouge here, we're going to activate the nitrous, changing the gear. I've got to let go of the nitrous button just for a split second, up into 6th gear. Nitrous fully activated as we come down the straight, and well, it definitely gives us more acceleration than custom Slipstream. But in terms of top speed, what are we going to get to by the time we get down to that sector point? 189, 190. So we are going a little bit faster, but as we come to the sector point, we are just touching 191 miles per hour. A little bit faster than what we'd be doing if we're in the custom Slipstream, but I actually feel justified in saying that custom Slipstream is a little bit like having nitrous in your car. So what can we conclude from this test? Well, to be honest with you, it's just a little bit of fun. I just kind of wanted to do some testing and actually just see, you know, how much power I had to add to the car to give me the equivalent speed down to the same point of the Mulsanne straight without Slipstream compared to being in the Slipstream. Now 115 brake horsepower is what we had to add to the car. Now that doesn't mean you've got a boost of 115 brake horsepower all the time. My understanding is that the power required will multiply significantly the faster the car is going. So 180 miles an hour, we needed 115 brake horsepower to overcome that difference, whereas at maybe 100 miles an hour that number would be a lot lower. But how unrealistic or how realistic is that custom Slipstream? Well, from my kind of findings, it's around about 60% stronger than real Slipstream. So real Slipstream would be, you know, the test that we did when we had about 65 brake horsepower added to the car. I went on the Tinternet, did some research, tried to find out some various things about things like, you know, how much power does Super Formula get. So a Super Formula car's got 550 brake horsepower. The overtake button adds around about 5%, which comes in at about 25 brake horsepower. In IndyCar, they have a push to pass button, which I understand adds around about 50 brake horsepower. In DRS, was quite hard to find out any accurate information in Formula 1, but they were kind of roughly saying that DRS adds around about between 50 and 100 brake horsepower. It doesn't add horsepower, but the effect of the DRS is like giving the car an additional 50 to 100 brake horsepower. So yeah, custom Slipstream in Gran Turismo 7 is very strong. It's like having nitrous in the car, it's like having DRS permanently open, and it's like having much more power than IndyCar push to pass or Super Formula overtake system. But as I said, just a little bit of fun. There may be flaws in the methodology, there may be flaws in the test, but I just kind of thought I'd give you something out there. We could put a number on it, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting to see just how much BHP we had to add to the car to give us the equivalent speed down the Mulsanne straight. But hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Any comments are welcome. I'll answer them all. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.